You know, when you have a live event like this, it is one of the times that you can really cross-check, you know, information. And Jeff is one of the most intelligent athletes in the field. He knows precisely his numbers, and it's almost an unfair advantage. And a lot of people will say that Jeff ran too fast. Well, they don't know what they're talking about. Jeff knows precisely what he's able to do. And what is unique is that Jeff was running at a very comfortable pace for him. It was a very controlled pace. This wasn't something that was extreme for Jeff. Jeff in a workout ran a 4:56 mile as just another interval. So his skill set is very high. The other piece that's very important that people need to understand is that when you run, you're vertical. When you enter the water, you're horizontal, and you will see an immediate heart rate reduction. And so Jeff's Garmin proves that's what occurs. So within 1 minute of Jeff entering the water, his heart rate was at 156, which is Jeff's upper limit of his zone 2, meaning a zone 2 all day, easy pace where he could actually breathe through his nose. So he was very, very comfortable. But after about 300 meters into the swim, you will start to see his heart rate going from that 156 and dropping below 140. Now that's alarming, because what's happening is he is slowing down for a purpose, and it's not because he's undertrained. That's not what's happening. What was happening is he was experiencing heat-related fatigue. And so for the people that listen on this, that what happens on dry land when you are in hot temperatures, meaning temperatures above your body temperature, 98.6, when you start to exert, you burn calories. And as a byproduct of burning calories, you create heat. Well, if you have outside air temperature above 98.6, it becomes a risk. And the reason why is because as a defense mechanism, when your body your core temperature gets hot, what happens is the blood gets redirected from your limbs, right? The moving muscle groups. So in this case, it would be swimming muscle groups. It would migrate to the skin. And when you're on dry land, it's a cooling mechanism. So you sweat because that cool air, or that water mixes with the air, and it creates like an air conditioner effect. And that's what happens in air conditioning, right? And so the body does that magnificently. The problem is in the water, your body doesn't know the difference if it's outside or in the water. The same effect occurs where your blood migrates to the skin to help cool, and it doesn't occur in the water. And so that's why FINA has incorporated 31 degrees Celsius as a go, no-go gauge, which is 87.8 degrees, I think, if I've done my math right. So when Jeff gets around 300 meters in, he's still in first place, but then he stops. His heart rate is plummeting. And he is stopping because of heat-related fatigue. He's naturally trying to burn fewer calories to cool his body. Simultaneously, his blood is being redirected, which is forcing him to actually exert harder in that type of a situation. That occurs for Jeff all the way to the finish. From that 300-meter point on his Garmin, he has 6 minutes and 21 seconds of sitting still in the water. His Garmin on his map, and this is very alarming, has him swimming at around halfway at a 90-degree angle off to the right, and it makes an abrupt stop. Now, I happened to meet up with the paddleboarder that hit Jeff with his paddleboard to turn Jeff back on track. Jeff hits the paddleboarder and immediately goes back to where he came from. It was almost like an out and back at 400 meters. So he's about 100 meters off course, swims back. He then proceeds forward a little bit and gets disoriented somehow and starts swimming the opposite direction back to where he came. On 2 separate occasions, Jeff swam over 100 meters in the opposite direction. Jeff was at one point 100 meters from the finish line and went back to that point in the middle of the swim. And what, as a coach and an athlete and a father, I can't even put words into how alarming it is that that occurred and no one was there. He doesn't remember this. And that we are so beyond fortunate that he's still here. Because I don't know how he even finished. And imagines being in the water for that amount of time and there was no one. And that's what's heart-wrenching. We are so beyond lucky that this wasn't way worse.
Yeah.
Way, way, way worse.
That's incredible. So for context, I mean, these, as far as like people slowing down, heart rates dropping, things like that, I mean, do you see stuff like that under normal, safe conditions just because due to fatigue? Like where do you know that this is natural fatigue, and where do you know that, okay, this is seriously a problem?
So I've been a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard for 12 years. I mean, just as a kid, and you learn right away behavior in the water when there's fatigue. And I look at the video. I look at the video of Lazar, and he is exhibiting classic symptoms of he is struggling. This rapid bobbing it's so obvious that here is a guy that is in extreme panic. And he's trying everything he can because he's rapidly breathing, right? And that's what he's doing. He's gasping. He's trying. And I don't know if the people on the water, like I have so many questions. Were they wearing personal flotation devices? Were they actually able to throw someone a personal flotation device? What was the policy that these paddleboarders had to actually rescue somebody? Yeah, it's really, I'm very alarmed by it. Like the number of buoys was a concern to me as well. Like the buoys typically would be numbered, or at least be able, like, let's say there was 10 of them in the water, they're location beacons in open water swimming. It's between, 1 and 2. The fact that athletes were swimming on both sides of the buoys, what the heck was that about? You just compounded your problem. You have now instead of being on the right side of the buoy or the left side of the buoy, now they're on both sides of the buoy. The difficulty for someone on a board to track both sides, I don't understand that. That never should have happened. But, and I don't know, and I wasn't involved in these discussions. Again, mine was only through observation. And again, I've done, I don't know how many triathlons. I mean, let's say 200, and open water swims and run, swim, runs and run, swims. And I've never seen that ever occur, ever.